About half of Qualcomm's 31,000 employees work in San Diego. Wednesday's announcements to reduce the company's workforce by 15% means about 4,700 people total will lose their jobs. Joining me with the potential impact in our region are my guest, Eric Bruvald, president of National University System Institute for Policy Research, and Alan Jin, economics professor at the University of San Diego and author of USD's Index of Leading Economic Indicators. And Eric, Qualcomm actually did decline our request for this interview, saying they had no further details. But Qualcomm is one of the largest employers here in our region. So what is Qualcomm's impact on San Diego's economy?
So we did a study that we released about 2013, which estimated that the direct economic impact, and when you add in their jobs and then the jobs that are associated with them, about 27,000 jobs in the region can be attributed to what Qualcomm does and the spending of Qualcomm employees. So it has a significant footprint here in the San Diego economy.
It sounds significant. So Alan, how big of a deal is it for a tech company this size to reduce its workforce by 15%?
15% is a big cut. That's 1 in 7 employees, and so they're going to reduce their costs by $1.4 billion. And so that will substantially help the company in terms of reducing its costs and therefore boosting its profitability.
So if they're reducing their cost, Eric, what are some of the problems that Qualcomm maybe is facing that might have led to this decision?
So there are two. One is that those smartphones, the things that we carry around all in our pockets, much of that market is becoming driven by price. So people are pushing more and more for those to be produced cheaply, and that's putting a constraint on Qualcomm's profitability. The second thing is that regulators in both China and Europe are looking at Qualcomm's dominant position in respect to intellectual property, and that's also putting pressure and uncertainty on the company that shareholders are reacting to.
And I understand also, correct me if I'm wrong, that companies are making their own computer chips. So things that Qualcomm used to do now, other companies are still doing it?
That's right. Again, as they're seeking to reduce the price of the cell phones that we can go into, Verizon store and AT&T and purchase. As price is becoming more important, folks are looking for those manufacturers of those handsets, looking to manufacture and produce them and to research them as cheap as possible, and that puts price pressure on a company like Qualcomm.
And Ellen, do you have anything to add to that as to why a company of this size might be shrinking?
Well, it's just the cycle in which the technology products go. I think all you need to do is go back and look at what happened to the personal computer industry. They started off as big, fancy, luxury type of items, but eventually they became really common, and that drove the price down and put a lot of pressure on companies making them.
Well, let's talk specifics here for our San Diego's regional tech industry. Do we have specifics on how many employees actually work in that sector?
So that's really the good news. So we do a measure along with Connect every quarter, and so we estimate that outside of life science and defense, there are about 95,000 people that work in the innovation economy that are outside of biotech and outside of defense. So Qualcomm's workforce is a significant chunk of that, but not nearly as dominant as, say, for example, 20 years ago, General Dynamics was in San Diego's private sector economy.
Sure, so what do you see as the fallout then?
I actually don't think that we're going to be noticing that much on the regions-wide economy. First of all, Qualcomm's a very important corporate player, and I don't want to discount the uncertainty that people face. But the technology industry as a whole has seen robust job growth, lots of help wanted ads, lots of constraints in terms of the labor force. So the people that are going to be affected by this layoff are likely going to have other opportunities within San Diego or even just outside, maybe in the rest of California, where they'll be able to earn just as much.
What do you think about that, Alan? Do you agree?
Yeah, I think the problem with the loss of those jobs, they're pretty good paying jobs, and so that hurts not only the people being laid off, but it hurts the housing market, hurts restaurants, hurts retailers. And so if you take all those secondary effects into account and the people could not find replacement jobs, I estimate that it would increase the local unemployment rate by 0.3%. But as Eric indicated, right now the technology industry is doing really well. The companies are claiming that there's shortage of skilled workers, and so it could be that Qualcomm workers would have an easier time to find jobs.
Yeah, I mean, I think that this is not like the auto industry laying off or shutting down a plant in Flint, Michigan. The rest of the industry is doing so well, so that there's good expectation that those laid off people will be able to be absorbed by a constrained labor market.
All right, Professor Alan Jin and Eric Brevald, thank you so much.
Good to be here.